Breaking Through News is continuing its series on the memorial to enslaved laborers. The memorial is being built on the University of Virginia campus to honor the slaves who built UVA. Kirt von Daacke is UVA's President's Commission on Slavery and the university co-chair. Daacke says they are in the process of researching additional slaves who built the university to add their names to the memorial.
It's the memorial to enslaved laborers, but it's monumental in scale, that it's about 80 feet in diameter. It's going to cover a pretty large chunk of land in what's known as the Triangle of Grass. This is east of Brooks Hall, so just north and then east of the rotunda in a large kind of grassy area that's visible from University Avenue, accessible from the community. And the memorial will do a number of things. It's meant to really kind of honor we think, nearly 5,000 enslaved people that lived and worked at UVA from 1817 to 1865. And that number includes people who may have only been here for 2 or 3 days. The university engaged in renting human beings through a kind of a commodified regional network. And so sometimes all we know is a phrase like 3 hands for 2.5 days' work. And we can't fully count the number nor even name all of them, but the idea was honor their lives and their labor, speak to their humanity, to their resistance to white supremacist notions about them, their resistance to slavery, their hopes for freedom, and their struggles to build family and community in the face of a pretty violent system of oppression.
I also had a chance to speak with a UVA alumni, Ebenezer Baptist Church pastor Michael Turner. Turner explained Jefferson's dilemma of losing his wife, Martha, and then marrying her biracial half-sister, Sally Hemings.
Sally Hemings was the daughter of his father-in-law, and she was half-sister to his wife, his only wife, who was Martha, I believe, Wells. And then so it's a known fact that these slaves came to Monticello with his wife. His wife, of course, died early, and he took Sally with him to France. She was like the nanny to his daughters, and during that time, they developed a liaison, a relationship, and that continued for the rest of his life. And out of that relationship, several children were born.
Listening to the pastor discussing President Jefferson's colorful past, I was curious about the pastor's political ideology of Jefferson. After all, Jefferson is credited for writing the Declaration of Independence.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
When I hear that, I believe that Thomas Jefferson was a product of his times. I think he was also grappling and struggling with all the times that he was in, but he embraced the philosophy of equality of all people. And now I don't know whether he thought that all blacks was equal to, because that was during a time when they thought that when blacks for representation was like 3/5 of a man and so forth. And so I don't know whether he embraced that fully.
What does it mean to honor slaves who built UVA? What does it mean to you?
I think it's an idea that's well past its time, because this country was built on the backs of African slaves and UVA.
But UVA was also the site where a mob of men claiming white supremacy marched across the campus grounds.
They gathered for hours just down the hill from where we're standing. A couple hundred people in torches marched through the university yelling, "You will not replace us, Jews will not replace us," and then terrorized a group of students on the north side of the rotunda. And they were here to attend the march the second day, and they were at the university to claim Thomas Jefferson as theirs too. And they're not entirely wrong, right? There's multiple Jeffersons that inhabit this place. He's the founder of this university. He wrote the Declaration of Independence, but he was also someone who owned 607 people over the course of his life, and really rarely ever lifted a finger or counseled anyone to lift a finger when ending slavery was brought up as perhaps a material objective in the near future.
The history professor says the recent Charlottesville riots was a split in the Jeffersonian legacy.
The beginning of the riot is people arguing over two Jeffersons and two universities right out there on the right side of the rotunda. You have the Jefferson who is, right, if we start with UVA, he's an educational visionary, right? There is no public education in Virginia in 1817 or 1824. He creates a modern Enlightenment university that's unlike any other university in the United States at the time. And it's an expansive and visionary educational project. However, in his world, it is for white men of property only. And I think he knows this and understands it. And I think during the construction phase, post-Missouri Compromise, he comes to understand that it's also a university that will in some way protect Southern interests. And I think he understands that one of those Southern interests, the primary one, is the continuation of slavery. He cannot imagine a world in which white and black live as co-equals in a society, right? Whenever he talks about ending slavery, he's always talking about colonization removal.
These slaves gave their blood, sweat, and tears to build a place where we could have higher education. And I'm so glad that their descendants are now a part of the process and that they now can enjoy the fruits of the labors of their ancestors who actually built these historic buildings that we continue to use today. It's such an honor to live on the lawn. It's such an honor to have the president's office on the lawn. It's such an honor to still be in amongst that historical setting, but yet to embrace the newest advances in all areas of life and of our universe. And I think it's such a wonderful thing to have a historic village, even that it was born in slavery and out of slavery, and to now move forward to do the great things that we're doing in the world today.
The memorial to enslaved laborers is scheduled to be completed in October. Part 3 of the series on the memorial will continue into February. In Charlottesville, Elaine Rackley for Breaking Through News.